Hi and welcome to my metal shaping videos here on YouTube. I hope you enjoy those 154 videos that I have before and that you learn a lot from them. I have some good news in this video, so I think that you will be happy with that, and that's my goal for the future. It's a reason why I haven't put up videos. It's a one-man show. I have been manufacturing the equipment for over 30 years. And it takes up about 85% of my time. The other time goes to teaching the classes. 2015 was the last year I actually offer the Step 2 class, because it was too much. When I set the schedule for 1 year, I set the schedule and I did for the Step 1 and the Step 2 class. That means that day, that Step 1 or Step 2 class must start. If I'm done or not, it doesn't matter. The class must start that day. People took time off from work, they scheduled the hotel and rental car and all that stuff, and the class must keep going. So that causes me stress to run the Step 2 classes. But the good news is that I have been manufacturing equipment for over 30 years, and in the end of last year I asked myself, do I really would like to stay here for the next 10, 20, maybe more years and manufacture the equipment? And I know how to make the equipment, so I don't really learn something new from it. So I said to myself, no, I don't want to do that anymore. That means that I'm ready now to, in a few months here, I'm ready to sell the manufacturing part of my business. So my goal is that my equipment is going to be available again, but with another producer that I'm actually going to teach how to build my equipment as well. So I want them to produce the same quality on the equipment that I have produced for 30 years. With that being said, that means that I'm going to free up about 85% of my time. So when I do that, that means that I'm going to bring back the Step 2 classes. So the new thing, the good news for 2022 is that I'm bringing back the Step 2 classes. Continue with the Step 1 class, and those people that have taken the Step 1 class, they can come back to a Step 2 class and learn how to build a car body. And I think I'm the only one that actually teaching people to build a car body from scratch, from nothing. So that is the good news. And with that also comes that I'm going to have more content from the Step 2 classes to film maybe little short videos each evening, or maybe a little in the daytime, but filming a little bit about what we have done in the classes, and I can put that up on YouTube as well. So that is the whole thing there, and this year I'm going to start with 3 Step 2 classes to build 33 Roadster from scratch. Later this year we're also going to build a 32 3-window Coupe from scratch. So I'm working on that part now to set up everything, and it takes actually many weeks to prepare to run the first Step 2 class. The second Step 2 class with the same body, that is lots of work have been done already, so it's still preparation to cut out the metal for the class and prepare, but it's lots of work already have been done. So let's take a look at that next to me here on the right. That will, and I'm going to explain the process and how I set up everything. The way I set this up is helping everybody that would like to build your own car body. So even if somebody would like to take a Mazda Miata and reskin the whole body on that car, it's a nice little small sports car, new technology, but the body could be a little more classic vintage look. So if somebody would like to do that, you already have the wheel as a 0 point, you have other things that you can actually use for the new body. and you're actually reskinning the body over something that you already have. So you're going to remove the old body, but keep every structure inside under it, and then make a new body, and even design it, of course. So let's take a little look at the chassis that I have next to me to the right here. So this is what I have been preparing for the Step 2 class so far. It has I have a little more to do, but it takes, I will say, many weeks to prepare for the Step 2 class. It's not just bringing in the student and run a Step 2 class and on an empty frame. No, it takes a lots of hours and lots of thoughts to set everything up. So the student, when they come in, they can start, we go through the layout and how I set up everything, but also they can start making the parts. And when we have enough parts, we can start put them together here, and then those parts should fit. So what I did, I had those sub rails that I purchased because I didn't have any dimensions for it. The sub rails are those down here that goes on the side of the frame. I also made the floor, so we have space to put stuff if we need to, but it's just a little better. I also have made a jig for the trunk lid opening, so I have the 4 corners for the trunk lid or deck lid. And to find out where that should be exact, that is not easy, because you need to have a stock body to measure from, and even then it can be a little difficult. Depends on how you measure from the stock body. But I figured it out little by little how to make the jig. So now the jig is solid. This is where it should be. When you make a jig like that, you can always cross measure it to somewhere to find out where so it's in the center of the frame. And you can always measure from many different spots to find out where is it correct or not. I also had an original 34 firewall that I mounted to this frame. From there I made a jig in front of the firewall, so the firewall was mounted to the frame. I made a jig on the forward of the firewall to the frame. Then I removed the firewall and let the jig be on the frame, and I'm going to film that so you can see that as well. Then I could make my firewall 16 gauge. I could make that firewall, and I can put that in the jig at the same spot as the 34 4-door firewall. So now that I know that one is the 0 point, from there I can measure from here to the jig as well. And if I have an original car that I measured on, then I can measure that, so I have that same distance there. I also made the feet on the firewall, those pieces here. So I also made those, so that will be more a solid piece of the firewall, and we can build everything around that. That is how I set it up. And for me, it's important to have 1 0 point to start with. When I have 1 0 point to start with, I can measure from that point to the next one, and to the next one, and to the next one. It's very important to keep everything straight and square. If you don't have that and you're losing it a little bit in one spot, it can end up and it's just make a mess. Starting from the back, for example, and building it forward can be a challenge. It could probably be possible to start with the rear panel, and I can film that for you as well. But I prefer to start with the firewall and work my way back with the cowl, the door skins, the rear quarter panels, and then the things up there, and top of the cowl, top of the forward, the trunk lid, the deck lid. That's the way I prefer. But the more 0 points you have before you start it, the better it is. The same principle if you're going to reskin an old car. For example, if you have a Miata sports car and you would like to make a new body on that one, you can reskin the whole body, but you have some 0 points from that Miata to start with. And it's enough with 1 0 point, and from there you can measure it. And I mentioned that in other videos as well. So let's take a little look. I'm just going to film a little more in details and talk about that so you can see that. So let's take a little closer look to the preparation for the Step 2 class. Here you can see the jig that I made for the firewall. So it takes a little while to do that, and of course I needed a original 33-34 firewall or cowl section to make that jig. Now when I have the jig, now I can duplicate the jig if I want, and that's one thing. There you can see a little bit more in details how I made that. Here you can also see the feet that I made. They are a little complicated to make, but I made them with poster board first and get that very, very close, marked everything out, so it's made in 2 pieces. You can see a little more details there. You can also see them on the inside here, what they look like there, the other side. I also made brackets for the firewall inside there, temporary brackets to just hold it in the right angle. That's important. There you can also see the floor, how I made that. And I made that in 4 pieces plus the transmission tunnel. The reason why I made it in 4 pieces is that when you work by yourself, the panels get so big, so I can't do it by myself, and the bead roller might be, the depth in the bead roller will maybe be easier. So to make it in 3 pieces made it so much easier, and I can handle it by myself. And then I made a step here, and I made a step on this one, and then I spot welded in the center there. Under this here, I have the X member for the frame. So that means that it's kind of easy to do, and you get a look of an original floor anyway. So that was what I had for today. I'm planning to, as I said, to film more on the process from the classes when we're building the car body for this one. But this is our starting point. So if you would like to have more information about classes or DVDs or books, you can go to www.lazzemetalshaping.com. There you have the schedule for the classes, step 1 and step 2. Another thing also, that if you have any question about when the equipment is going to be available again, or be on the list when they're going to be available, shoot me an email and I can save your information in a folder. So when they're going to be available again, then I will send you an email and we can go from there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to come out with more videos. Hope you will learn more. Thank you. Have a good day.